Hey everyone, ready to dive into the world of bookbinding.
Let's do it.
Today we're tackling the book sewing machine operator interview.
Using RoleCatcher's awesome resources.
Yeah, their career and interview guides are fantastic, and of
We
course,
can't forget about their AI.
exactly.
Yeah.
And getting that interview can feel like winning the lottery.
Oh, totally. Especially with those applicant tracking systems.
DTS.
Yeah,
Oh, right.
all powered by AI.
So our CVs need to be in tip-top shape.
Exactly. They have to speak the AI's language.
Otherwise, they'll never even get seen by a human.
Nope. That's where RoleCatcher's AI is a lifesaver.
Really? How so?
It analyzes the job description you're looking at.
Okay.
And picks out the key skills. And basically,
It tells you how to make your CV.
yeah, it shows you how to tailor your CV.
Cool, so it gets a higher AI score.
Exactly. It helps increase your chances of getting shortlisted.
So it's like having a secret decoder ring.
Haha. Pretty much.
I love it. All right, so let's say we've aced the AI test.
And landed the interview.
Now it's prep time, right?
Absolutely time to dive into those interview questions.
And RoleCatcher's got us covered there too, right?
You bet their interview guide is full of insightful questions.
Okay, awesome. So let's tackle a few.
Sounds good.
All right, this one seems pretty straightforward. How do you ensure the quality of the books you sew?
Yeah, that one seems simple, but it's all about showing off your process.
Yeah, attention to detail.
Definitely you want to walk them through your steps.
Like what?
Start with inspecting the materials.
Before even starting.
Yeah, then setting up the machine correctly.
Yeah.
Checking the stitching, making sure it's consistent.
And the tension.
Yes, and being on the lookout for any issues.
Like misalignments or jams.
Exactly.
So it's not just about saying, I can sew straight.
Right. It's about thinking about quality at every step.
Showing them you've got a system.
Absolutely.
And I bet RoleCatcher's AI can help us fine-tune our answers here.
For sure. It analyzes your response and flags anything that could be improved. It even suggests industry-specific terms.
Ooh, fancy talk.
It can make you sound super professional.
So it's like having an interview coach in your pocket.
You got it.
Awesome. Okay, here's one that caught my eye. What suggestions do you have for improving the book sewing machine process and workflow?
Interesting.
They're not just testing our skills.
No, they want to see you think outside the box.
Be creative.
Yeah, exactly. Come up with some cool solutions.
So before the interview, we should really think about our experiences.
Definitely. Have you ever seen any bottlenecks in the workflow?
Or areas that could be more efficient.
Exactly.
So real examples are key.
Yes, and even if you haven't encountered any major issues,
You can still impress them, right?
oh yeah, you can suggest improvements based on trends in the industry.
Okay, for example.
Well, you could suggest a preventative maintenance schedule.
To minimize downtime.
Exactly, or a system for tracking errors.
Oh, to find those recurring problems and fix them.
You got it.
So show me you're thinking ahead.
Proactive.
That's the word. Now, what about follow-up questions?
Good point. Be prepared to elaborate on your suggestions.
So they might ask, like, how would you implement this?
Yeah, or what kind of impact do you think this change would have?
Makes sense.
This is where RoleCatcher's AI feedback can really shine.
Oh, yeah. How so?
It simulates follow-up questions so you can practice.
Oh, that's smart.
It helps you build confidence for the real deal.
So it's like a mock interview
Basically.
with an expert. All right, this next one seems pretty technical. What experience do you have in operating a book sewing machine?
Yes, with this one you need to be specific.
So don't just list the machines you've worked with.
Right, go into detail about the models.
The functionalities.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the types of books you've sewn.
Okay, what if we've worked with machines that do different binding styles?
Like saddle stitching or case binding.
Yeah, should we mention that?
Definitely it shows off your range.
But wouldn't explaining those types of binding be redundant?
Not necessarily. It shows, your stuff.
And that you're passionate.
Exactly. And hey, RoleCatcher's AI can tell you if you're giving too much detail.
Oh, that's helpful.
Or not enough,
And it can even suggest different ways to say things.
based on the company's culture.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about quality control, process improvement, and technical experience.
What about problem solving?
Ooh, good one. A lot of jobs require that.
Definitely. Have you ever encountered a problem with a machine and how did you solve it?
Classic.
Right? So have a specific example ready to go.
Don't just say, I'm good at troubleshooting,
No, show them you are.
with a real-world story.
Exactly. And choose an example that highlights a relevant skill.
Okay, so if the job description emphasizes precision,
Talk about a time you solved a problem with stitching accuracy.
perfect. All right, let's move on to this one. How do you prioritize tasks when working on multiple projects simultaneously?
Ooh, time management.
That's key in any job.
Absolutely, but especially in a fast-paced environment.
Like a printing press.
Right, so highlight your ability to assess deadlines.
And break down projects into manageable chunks.
Yes, and then prioritize based on urgency and importance.
Do you think mentioning tools or techniques would be helpful?
Definitely, like if you use project management software
Yeah, show them you've got a system.
for staying organized.
Okay, I'm curious about this one. How do you troubleshoot and resolve any issues that may arise during the sewing process?
Sounds familiar, right?
Yeah, it feels like it gets to the heart of the job
It does. They want to see that you can identify issues.
and figure out what's causing them.
Yes, and then implement solutions.
Again, a concrete example would be great.
Absolutely. Describe the problem, how you diagnosed it.
And the steps you took to solve it.
Perfect.
And again, I'm guessing RoleCatcher's AI can help us here.
Of course, it can tailor your response to the specific job.
Amazing. It's like having a personalized coach in your pocket.
Exactly.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
We have.
From beating those automated recruiters to tackling those tricky interview questions.
And let's not forget the power of AI.
Absolutely. It's an amazing tool for interview prep.
Definitely. All right, welcome back, everyone.
Ready for round 2 of interview questions?
Let's do it.
Okay. This one focuses on the machine itself. How do you maintain the book sewing machine and ensure it's in good working condition?
They're trying to see if you understand that.
That a well-maintained machine is key.
Yeah, for quality and efficiency.
So how do we answer this one?
Think of it like taking care of your car.
Regular checkups.
Exactly. You want to show them you understand the machine.
Its parts and what they do.
Right, so don't just list them off.
Explain the inspection process.
Yeah, like checking the needles for wear and tear,
Thread tension.
lubrication points, all that good stuff.
And explain why those checks are important.
Yeah, for example, you could say, I always check the needles for any signs of wear or damage because a dull needle can really mess up the stitching.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
You want to connect those tasks to the impact on the final product.
Show them you're not just going through the motions.
Exactly, you're thinking about the bigger picture.
Okay, what about cleaning?
Oh yeah, that's important too. A clean machine runs smoother.
And lasts longer.
You got it.
Okay, so preventative maintenance is key.
For sure.
Now, what if they ask about more complex repairs?
Well, if you have any experience with troubleshooting or basic repairs, definitely mention that.
Like what?
You could say, I'm comfortable replacing needles, adjusting thread tension, and fixing minor jams.
Okay, so be honest about your skill level.
Exactly. If you've only worked under supervision, be upfront about that.
Makes sense.
Okay.
This next one is a bit open-ended. What suggestions do you have for improving the book sewing machine process and workflow?
This is your time to shine.
Okay, how so?
Think about your past experiences
Any bottlenecks you've seen?
or areas where things could be improved.
And even if everything's been smooth sailing,
You can still impress them.
by suggesting improvements based on industry trends.
Exactly. Show them you're thinking ahead.
Okay, like what?
Well, you could suggest a preventative maintenance schedule.
Like we talked about earlier.
Exactly. It's all connected. You could also propose a system for tracking errors.
So you can identify recurring problems
Right. Or even suggest investing in some new technology.
to boost efficiency.
There you go.
So be proactive and think outside the box.
Exactly. And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can help you refine those suggestions
Oh, right. It can analyze industry trends.
and give you tailored insights.
Awesome. Okay, let's talk about this question. I'm sure it's a common one. What experience do you have in operating a book sewing machine?
It is. And the key here is to be specific.
So mention the models you're familiar with
Yes, the types of books you've sewn.
and any special techniques you've mastered.
Right. And here's a tip. If the job description mentions specific binding styles, make sure you talk about those.
Like perfect binding.
Exactly. Tailor your answer to the job requirements.
Now, what about all those technical terms? Should we explain them?
It never hurts to show off your knowledge.
Even if the interviewer probably already knows.
Yeah, briefly explaining things shows you understand the nuances.
And it can spark a deeper conversation.
You never know.
Okay, this next question is about problem solving under pressure. How do you troubleshoot and resolve any issues that may arise during the sewing process?
Another classic, be ready with a specific example.
A real-world story.
Yes, describe the problem, how you diagnosed it, and the steps you took to solve it.
So they can see your thought process.
Exactly.
And RoleCatcher's AI can help us practice those scenarios, right?
Absolutely. It can simulate those tough questions and give you feedback.
Oh, that's great. It can help you sound more confident and capable.
Exactly. Okay, this next one is interesting. How do you ensure that safety protocols are followed when operating the book sewing machine.
Seems like they're looking for more than just technical skills
Yeah, they want to see that you prioritize safety.
for yourself and others.
Exactly. So you need to show them.
That we understand the rules.
Yeah, that you understand the importance of procedures and a safe work environment.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Be specific about the safety protocols you follow. Wearing the right gear, conducting regular machine inspections.
Keeping your work area clean.
Exactly. And if your previous employers had any specific safety initiatives, mention those too.
It shows you're proactive.
And that you take safety seriously.
Okay, what if they ask, what would you do if you noticed a colleague not following safety protocols?
Good question. This one tests your leadership skills.
And commitment to safety.
Right. Emphasize that you would address the situation right away.
Politely remind them about the protocols.
Yes, and you could also mention that you would document the incident.
And report it to your supervisor if necessary.
Exactly. It shows you're responsible.
Okay, moving on to teamwork. How do you train and mentor new book sewing machine operators on your team?
This one's all about leadership and communication.
So being a good teacher
Exactly. Highlight your patience, your clear communication.
and your ability to break down complex tasks.
Yes, you could mention specific training methods you've used.
Like hands-on demos or visual aids.
Right, and emphasize that you give constructive feedback.
And encouragement, of course.
It's all about creating a positive learning environment.
Okay, this next one seems a bit personal. What motivated you to become a book sewing machine operator?
It might seem that way, but it's a chance to connect with the interviewer.
On a deeper level.
Yes. Share what excites you about bookbinding.
The machinery. The final product.
Maybe even just a love of books.
Let your personality shine through.
And if you have any personal projects related to bookbinding,
Definitely mention those.
it shows you're genuinely interested.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this part.
From machine maintenance to problem solving.
To safety, teamwork, and even personal motivation.
Yeah.
What's next?
In the final part, we'll wrap up with a few more insightful questions and dive into RoleCatcher's career guide.
Stay tuned. And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into becoming a book sewing machine operator.
Ready to tackle some more questions?
You bet. Let's do it.
All right, this one really focuses on those details. How do you ensure that the books you sew meet customer requirements and specifications?
It seems pretty important.
Oh, it is. It's all about quality control.
So you just follow the instructions, right?
Well, yeah, but you need to demonstrate that you're really meticulous.
Okay, how do we do that?
Emphasize that you carefully review everything.
All the specs?
And don't be afraid to ask questions.
If something's not clear.
Exactly, and talk about how you double-check everything.
Measurements, thread types, stitching styles.
All those details that are outlined in the specifications.
So show them you're not just sewing books.
You're creating a high-quality product.
That meets their standards.
Exactly, and if you've used any special tools or quality control checks in the past,
Definitely mention those.
it shows you're committed to a flawless product.
Okay, makes sense. All right, this next one always makes me nervous. What are your salary expectations for this role?
Oh yeah, it can be tricky, but remember, it's a two-way street.
So they want to know if we're in their budget.
And you want to know if their offer is fair.
Right, so how do we find that balance?
Do your research beforehand.
Look at typical salaries for this role.
Yeah, websites like Glassdoor or Salary.com can be helpful.
Okay, and consider your experience and skills.
And the specific responsibilities of the job.
So have a range in mind.
Exactly. And when they ask you, could say something like, based on my research and experience, I'm expecting a salary in the range of your range. However, I'm open to discussing the specifics based on the role and benefits.
That sounds good, professional, and open to negotiation.
Great.
Okay, let's talk about career development for a bit. This next one might come up if you're going for a senior position. How do you handle a situation where a new operator is struggling to learn a particular skill?
This is all about mentorship.
Being a good teacher.
Exactly, and showing them you can adapt your approach.
So start by observing their technique.
Figure out where they're having trouble.
And then provide guidance.
Break down the skill into smaller steps, maybe try different teaching methods.
So they eventually get it.
Exactly.
Shows you're patient and want to see others succeed.
And if you have any examples of successful mentorship from your past,
Definitely share those.
it makes your answer even stronger.
Okay, great advice. Now, before we wrap up, I want to touch on something we mentioned earlier, RoleCatcher's Career Guide.
Oh, yeah, it's a must-read.
It's full of insights into career paths for book sewing machine operators.
Definitely, it outlines typical career stages so you can see what's expected at each level.
So you can plan your career trajectory.
Exactly. For example, at an entry-level position, you'll mostly be operating the machine under supervision.
Focusing on quality control.
Right. Then as you gain experience, you'll take on more responsibilities.
Like setting up the machine and troubleshooting.
Maybe even training new operators.
So there's room for growth.
Absolutely. And the career guide also talks about different paths you can take.
Like specializing in a specific type of binding.
Yes, like case binding for those fancy art books.
Or maybe moving into a supervisory role.
Managing a whole team.
So it's not just one straight path.
You can tailor it to your interests.
And one thing the career guide really emphasizes is continuous learning.
Oh, that's so important, especially in a technical field like this.
With all the new technologies and techniques.
Right. The career guide actually provides links to resources for ongoing learning,
Oh, wow.
like industry associations, workshops, online courses.
That's awesome.
And it even suggests looking into certifications.
To boost our skills and our career prospects.
Exactly. So even after you get that dream job, the learning never stops.
I love that. Well, I think we've covered just about everything in this deep dive.
From those tricky interview questions to mapping out your future career.
And let's not forget the incredible power of RoleCatcher's resources.
Their AI really is a game changer.
All right, everyone, thanks for tuning in and good luck with your interviews.
You got this.